First approach we should take is everybody should realize if something's on the internet that's free, you're the product.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're the product, we should think of ourselves as private property, right? So if I'm the product and we're private property, what goes on your site, if you're monetizing it, I get a piece of it. And I get to know what you're doing with my information, right? It's not like this form that attorney has to read, everyone just clicks yes or no. Let's set a foundation of what the priorities of these forms should be so they're clear spoken that people know what they're getting. I get if you're monetizing, I get a piece of it. If I want to get off your site, I get my data back. If I want to move my data, I can move my data. I think that's a fairness that everybody starts with.
So let's shift from the everyday machinations of politics and talk about the other big stuff that I know has been on your mind. It's on my mind all the time. Let's talk about the big tech stuff. We got some problems with big tech, and I know you're trying to figure out.
That's the thing that can stop us from winning.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I mean, well, first off, I guess, how manipulated do you think we are? First, like just generally by big tech, like just the way that we're able to talk to each other and communicate.
More than we ever imagine. More than we even think about. Okay, you and I should have a discussion. Let's discuss your book. Don't burn this book. And when this interview's over, I'm going to turn on my phone. I bet you I get an advertisement for it.
I'm okay with that. that one I'm okay with.
But do we think Siri only listens to us when we talk to him? But what's even more important, it's almost every aspect of our lives, right? But it's gathering what information we can know and what we can think and what we can see. But it's also driving us to dislike people even if they think differently than we do. And they'll tell you, no, it's an algorithm. Who writes the algorithm? In 2018, right before the election, if you Googled the California Republican Party, you know what they'd tell you our ideology was? Nazism. How was that even in play? Google and
are you saying it doesn't say it anymore? I'd be shocked if they came around.
Well, they probably brought it back up today.
Yeah.
But what's happening here from the aspect of 90% of everybody that searches goes on Google.
Yeah.
If you're on the second page, 90% drop off. So they control whether you make it or break it, right? But they also, if we are a young company moving up, they are so big. They take your technology, they buy you, or they crush you, right? So you don't have that free market system. When you sit back and think, who should have been Amazon? Sears and Roebuck, right? They have the catalogs, they sold you from a house to the pair of jeans to tools, they had the resource. But Amazon came in a time where there was a free market. They started selling books, they started doing that. But now, Amazon's just not Amazon. Amazon hosts everybody. So if they want to take you off, you now can't be there. If Apple doesn't want to put you into the app, who finds you?
Yeah.
They control so much of our life. Think about it. If I grabbed your phone, you'd fight me.
Yeah.
If you take your kid's phone away, it's the worst thing that can happen to them.
Yeah.
It's almost a drug to us now, but it controls so much, what we can see, what we can know, what we can hear. And if they disagree with you, they can take you off. If they don't like your competition, they can take you away. That's the problem.
So what do you see as the answer? Is this we go in and we have regulators look at the algorithm? This is, I always have this running joke that you're going to have some middle management bureaucrat go into Google, like, let me see the algorithm. Or are we breaking them up? I mean, where does competition fit in? Like, what's the...
This is the way I put it. The first approach we should take is everybody should realize if something's on the internet that's free, you're the product.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're the product, we should think of ourselves as private property, right? So if I'm the product and we're private property, what goes on your site, if you're monetizing it, I get a piece of it. And I get to know what you're doing with my information, right? It's not like this form that attorney has to read, everyone just clicks yes or no. Let's set a foundation of what the priorities of these forms should be so they're clear spoken that people know what they're getting. If you're monetizing, I get a piece of it. If I want to get off your site, I get my data back. If I want to move my data, I can move my data. I think that's a fairness that everybody starts with. The other thing that has to happen here is, though, we've got to make sure there's a level playing field where there's competition. And I don't think big government creating utility. Is there competition for PG&E? No. They just raise our rates and they give us brownouts and we pay 40% higher than anybody else. I want somebody to come in and disrupt. I want the next one, right? We had Microsoft before we had Google. And the other challenge is if somebody wants to go to the courts, it takes too long, right? So I understand at the beginning why we gave you Section 230, right? You wanted the platform to begin. I will keep 230 in only this perspective. If you let people say on the platform whatever they want, because it's liability protection for you to allow the people to do that.
But is it too late? I mean, I've had this conversation with other congresspeople and plenty of pundits and everything else. Like, it's like, well, why didn't anything happen then? When they dragged Zuckerberg in front of Congress, they dragged
Section
Jack.
230 is still there.
Yeah.
So if you remove Section 230, now the platform has a question to make. If I want to regulate what's on there,
Right.
a person has a right to go to court. If we go to court one time, do a big class action, I'll guarantee you they'll change their behavior. Structure dictates behavior. Right now, they're protected.
Isn't that what Trump is now announcing he's doing just in the last couple of days? So he's going to do a
But think
class
about it
action,
for
right?
one moment.
Yeah.
Regardless of how anyone feels about Trump,
Yeah.
he had the most people on Facebook, probably the most followers on Twitter. He was the president of the United States. Our very first amendment is freedom of speech. And they took him off. And the place I heard the most complaints from was Merkel in Germany. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
32 years ago, 1 million college kids went to Tiananmen Square for the idea of freedom of speech. The 3 million people out of 8 million in Hong Kong that would go out in the rain craved freedom of speech. And we had just allowed that to be denied to an American. And then once they did it to him, they did it to everybody else that they disagreed with. Why have we come so far that you and I could sit down, you could have a total different philosophy. We could debate, but we don't have to dislike each other. When we take away the debate, we're taking away a foundation of who we are. I mean, I should not be afraid that someone has a different belief than I and debate the idea. It either makes my idea stronger, makes me believe more. I mean, I'm a Republican, but my family are all Democrats. I chose to be in this party. So when someone wants to challenge me on my conservative beliefs, I wasn't born here, I chose to come here. I think I'm going to have a stronger belief. I rejected what somebody said at home and was seeking out something else.
Wait, let's stick with that for a moment because I think you know a little bit about my story.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a big lefty, so I'm curious. I didn't know that about you. So you come from a family of Democrats. What
They were all there. I was the first Republican in my family.
What was your moment?
So I'm older than you.
We'll get back to
I'm 56.
Yeah.
Reagan was the first president I could vote for. It was in his second term. But when I was in elementary school, I watched junior high, Jimmy Carter go on TV, put a sweater on, tell me to turn the heater down, and told me the best days of America were behind us. Yeah. He accepted mediocrity. Then I watched this other guy go to a podium and says, no pastels, fly the bold colors, and go to that shiny city on the hill. I knew what he meant, right? That America is exceptional, right? If you come to my office, I want you to come to DC sometime.
Yeah.
So I have this portrait of Reagan behind me. It's in color, right? And I have this other portrait that's very big, and it's Lincoln, and it's in black and white. The greatest challenge ever to our Constitution was the Civil War. And at night, if you sat back and what's happening, and you asked these two people to give us advice today, Lincoln would say, believe in the exceptionalism of America. And this is what makes me mad coming off the 4th of July. Why wouldn't we celebrate the progress? Mm-hmm. We're not perfect, but as we strive for a more perfect union. Lincoln said, conceived in liberty and dedicated the proposition that we're all equal. He goes on to say, but if we fail, government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from earth. We weren't the world power, but he understood the strength of what a democracy and republic were, right? There is no other nation in the world conceived in liberty and dedicated they're all equal. Maybe Israel, but no other one, right? Lincoln would also tell us this, right? As an elected official, don't be afraid of making a tough decision, right? The whole debate of slavery didn't start in 1850. It was the creation of our country. But they thought it was too divided, too divisional, right? That it would divide us, divide the colonies. So they said to put it aside. In doing so, hundreds of thousands of their children died. We don't have a decision like that today, but our debt, our challenge with China, right? Are we too afraid as elected officials to make a decision that we can lose upon? But what happens is you narrow it, you're eventually going to make a decision, but you're going to have fewer options.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.